Hi all, and welcome back to the channel. I just finished Space Marine 2 after about 11 hours on veteran difficulty. I also tried out a few PvP multiplayer matches. I absolutely love this game, and that's why I wanted to talk about it today. If you're looking for a straightforward overview of the game, check out my explained video. In this video though, I'll be discussing why I love it and why I think you should play it. At the end of the video, I'll also mention when I think you shouldn't play this game. I don't want you to waste your money, and my opinion might not align with yours. Now, let's get started. The first, and maybe even the most important reason I love this game is that it really gave me a true next-gen feeling. It's almost unbelievable that the Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5 are nearly 4 years old. Sometimes it feels like this generation hasn't fully kicked off yet. Don't get me wrong, there have been incredible games, but many of them feel like shinier or bigger PlayStation 4 and Xbox One titles. Space Marine 2 feels different.
The sheer scope of the combat in certain moments is massive and intense, yet it still looks beautiful. And it's not in a gimmicky way, like some last-gen games where you could easily see through the tricks. You genuinely feel like you're part of a huge war. This is reinforced when you kill enemies from a distance, or blow them up with grenades. This happens right from the first level, adding to the immersion. Do you agree that many games haven't felt truly next-gen? Let me know in the comments. Now, the second reason is the combat. Watching the gameplay might give off a bit of a button-mashing hack-and-slash shooter vibe, but it's really not like that. The combat has a flow that you especially need to master on the higher difficulties if you don't want to die repeatedly. You have to parry, dodge, and execute at the right moments. Even the use of grenades is crucial. If you don't clear out the weaker enemies, you can easily get overwhelmed. It's a balance between not focusing too much on them, as they don't deal tons of damage, but also making sure they're dealt with. When all these elements come together, the combat almost sings. It's really cool. I can't remember the last time I thought, did I just do that? That was awesome!
The next reason is the pacing of the story. It moves at a really strong pace. A lot of games have unnecessary padding just to make them longer, like when you have to fire a rocket in 3 stages, only to find out the rocket didn't really affect the battle at all. Space Marine 2 avoids that. You keep moving forward, both in story and combat, and that kept me motivated to keep playing. Overall, this gave me serious Gears of War vibes, in the best way possible. Gritty, visceral combat, with a surprisingly deep combat system, all set in a dark, oppressive atmosphere where you can easily get overwhelmed. It was awesome. Before I get to the negatives, if you're still here, please consider liking and subscribing. It would mean the world to me.
Now, on to the negatives. These didn't impact my overall love for the game, but they're worth mentioning. First, the bot AI isn't great, especially on veteran or higher difficulties. It can really hold you back. You notice it most when you have multiple objectives at the same time, or later in the game when you're nearly overwhelmed and need your bots to take out key enemies. They just don't do it. Second, and this is personal, but I'm not a fan of boss fights in action games. Fortunately, that's mainly an issue with the final boss here, who you fight twice. The simpler mini-boss fights with giant creatures were cool. Lastly, the combat does become a little less fun in the second half. I won't spoil why, and it's still a lot of fun, just not quite as much. The story could have also had a bit more depth. Before I wrap up, let me quickly touch on the multiplayer. It's fun and stands out in today's multiplayer landscape. However, I wonder if it can ever be properly balanced. I haven't played enough to say for sure, but at the very least, it can extend the hours you'll get out of the game, because it's definitely enjoyable. So, when should you play Space Marine 2 and when shouldn't you? If you love action games, Gears of War, and gritty visceral combat, then this game is definitely for you. All of those elements are done through great set pieces, but the game leans heavily on its combat and combat set pieces, so if you don't care for gunplay and melee combat, this might not be the game for you. If you're looking for a deeper story or RPG elements, or a different kind of experience, then it may not be for you. But if you have any love for action games at all, there's really no reason not to play this. That's it for my must-play video on Space Marine 2. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one.